Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
One of these days, I'm going to make a new open for us. One of these days.
No.
Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It is Thursday, September 18th. This is episode 227. Chuck McKinnick, Matt Roy alongside. Chuck, you late wake-up call this morning?
Late wake-up call. Actually, no wake-up call. And luckily woke up on my own just in the nick of time to slide in under the tag.
I don't know what it is, but I would have put you as like a digital alarm clock kind of guy instead of the alarm clock on the phone kind of guy.
I was forever, and there were no problems back in the digital days. Actually, in the wind up the clock things that had the little, so you were never off then. You didn't have to worry about the power going out or anything. So, yes, sadly, I have evolved through time, but there are no fail-safes, as you know.
Yeah,
Once you start asking electricity to start hooking you up.
Yeah, so your phone died and alarm didn't go off this morning?
That's exactly what happened.
It's all right. You got everywhere you needed to be. You're here. That's all that matters.
Chuck, do you have one of those wireless chargers next to your bed?
I have a wireless charger now, but the charger that I had plugged into the wall apparently did not do what it was tasked to do last night.
Is that the one that we got from the Alamo Bowl?
It is. Coming in super handy right now.
I
Should have used it last night. I wouldn't have had any problems.
Hey, you got there. Everything happens for a reason. You were supposed to wake up late.
Just
Maybe there was an accident.
That's right. Be glad this is not a scratch and sniff podcast, though. I feel bad for you. Yep. Didn't shower, didn't
this
shave.
morning?
No.
How many
Sorry,
days
bro.
has it been? 3, 4?
Yeah,
I'm doing the Brad Pitt thing.
hasn't showered in a week now.
That's right.
All right. Well, we got a great game of, we got a great weekend of college football games for you. Even though it's early in the season, a lot of consequential matchups going on this weekend. Tech and Utah. Texas going to figure it out. UTSA trying to get on the right track against Colorado State. Plus the Cowboys maybe a turning point in their season. The Texans, what the hell's wrong with their offense? I don't know if there's an easy answer for that one. So we'll get to all those. We're going to go rapid fire through a lot of college and pro football. Plus we got Eva a great matchup for you on the CW tonight. CWSA, excuse me. Because it's Thursday, and that means TNL. We have Clemens and Alamo Heights. That's going to be a really good matchup. 6A, 5A, squaring things off there. As you always, subscribe to the YouTube channel, News 4 Fox SA. Download, rate, review the podcast version if you are so inclined from your favorite podcast app. Area code 227, Chuck?
No clue.
No guesses?
No,
give me like a...
Man, it's a little too early in the morning to start taking those kinds of pot shots. Paducah, Kentucky.
But it's not horribly wrong. Bob?
I'm going to guess Buffalo,
New York? No, that would be good though with the Thursday night game tonight. No, it's Maryland, Central Maryland. I didn't know there was a Central, North, and South Maryland because it's so small, but apparently it's Central Maryland.
Speaking of Maryland, those helmets they wear are insane.
The Terps?
Yeah,
the Turtles?
The Dirty Terps. Shout out SVP. Let's go to the Cowboys here. So Cowboys pick up the win against the Giants. They now go to Chicago to face off against the Bears, and they have some winnable games on their schedule. The Bears are 0-2, kind of reeling. They just got destroyed by the Lions. You don't really know what they are. They probably should have won week 1 against the Vikings, gave that game away because of their offense and defense in fourth quarter. Caleb Williams doesn't look great. Ben Johnson looks like a rookie head coach usually looks. And the Cowboys have the Packers next week, then the Jets, then the Panthers, then the Commanders. They can very easily, I think, go 3-2 in these games, including tonight, or including this weekend, excuse me, and be right there, square in the middle of the playoff race through 6 weeks.
Well, there's something to be said about when you have your schedule, right? Sometimes it's when you play somebody, right? I don't think any of these teams, by any stretch of the imagination, Cowboys included, will be what they're going to be as we move along through the season. So early on in the campaign, I agree, there are some gettable games here, and it's time to make hay because there are some big ones coming up. I mean, obviously that Packer game is going to be a very difficult one, I think, on paper for the Cowboys to get, but there's no reason why you can't go into Chicago and be 2-1 at the end of it.
There's no reason you can't maybe lose to the Packers, beat the Jets and the Panthers to come out, 4-2 going into a Commanders game. at home and then go to Denver after that. So, I mean, it's a winnable games on the schedule. The question is, can they take advantage of a Bears defense who has allowed the offensive player of the week 2 weeks in a row? I mean, can you score enough points to beat the Bears, because your defense is still struggling as always. So
yeah, Ben Johnson had some interesting comments this week talking about his team's practice habits, that they don't have championship caliber practice habits. So
you don't want to hear that from your head coach.
No, so I would imagine he's kicking a lot of keister this week. The Bears will probably bounce back. I mean, and Caleb Williams at some point, to me, looks like he's going to figure it out. Right there's nothing when you look at him, just the eye test. He just does a lot of things that are, you feel like at some point he's just going to be able to work things out. Right now, he's having a hard time completing passes to guys that are open. I think his league average on that is double the average rate. So at some point it's going to start clicking. You got to give that guy some grace, that kid some grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
With all the OCs that he's had. And there've been so many moving parts around him. It's hard for guys to develop quickly when there's that going on. But even having said that, the Cowboys will have a rough week of practice too, especially on the defensive end. And so I would expect, Dallas should be able to go in. It's tough to win on the road, but if there's ever a game that you should be able to win on a road, it's this one.
Yeah, and Shoddy took a little bit of fire this week because they didn't practice in pads on Wednesday when they typically do, and they're practicing today in pads. But he was like, we played 70 minutes of football.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to give our guys a little bit of a break, but hopefully they're going to pay us back tomorrow, meaning today, when they get the pads on in practice. Yeah. But I kind of like that he's taking care of the players, but he's always going to be a player's coach first, which sometimes has its drawbacks and sometimes has its benefits.
Yeah, he knows his team better than we do, obviously. And for as much as we've beat up on the lack of the pass rush and the secondary issues that they had in the last game, let's give credit where credit's due, right? When they needed to get stops in overtime, when they got the second chance, when Brandon Aubrey bailed them out, right, and got the game to overtime, they got stops in overtime. They got multiple stops in overtime. So maybe something to build on here going into this Bears game.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the line really stinks on this game. It's in Chicago, which gives them, usually when you're thinking about a betting line, that's a 3-point home field advantage. So the line is telling you with the Cowboys -1.5 that the Cowboys are 4.5 points better than the Bears. I don't know if that's true at this point because their offense is really good, but their defense is just dreadful. So I think the line smells. I think the Bears win this game, though. I really do. I don't think that the Cowboys are good enough at this point to go into Chicago and win.
Well, I think it's a week-to-week thing, right? I mean, I think the Cowboys, deservedly so, showed a lot in that opener on the road against the world champs. So we'll see.
They showed some grit at least this past weekend, but
they did. I mean, sometimes you need some breaks, right? They got some breaks. Obviously, they created their own breaks, and there were some breakdowns, obviously, too. Why did I bring this card?
I don't know. Here,
I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't end up on the floor, and then I've got to then send it to the cleaners.
There's a chair you can put
we
it
all
on
see
right
what's
there.
going on here. You're gonna need a tetanus shot after walking out of the studio. But no, it's all good. I'm going to do this. I'm going to press my back against the chair to make sure that it doesn't fall on the ground. So anyway, we'll see. I think it's a week-to-week thing, and it's hard to tell. And it's hard to say that the Cowboys won't work on things this week and then be better having worked on those things this week.
It's just the Cowboys are very much a team where they'll lose to the Bears this weekend and then go out and beat the Packers next week. Like, that's just how it feels like it's going to happen. Like, maybe they end up 4-2 after these first six games, but it's not the 4 that we thought. Coming.
That's fair.
So who do you think wins? Bears
I
Cowboys?
think the Cowboys too. Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't know. I think there'll be some mojo this week that they got from the winning a key divisional game, because they're all key divisional games. It's redundant essentially. So yeah, I think they're going to win. I think they're going to work on the things and some of the busts that they had in the secondary, and I think they're going to be just fine.
I think that they lose this game. I think that Vegas is telling you that they lose this game by putting the Bears at +1.5. So I'll just go with the number. Let's go.
What you said is fair too.
Yeah, let's go with the Texans. Texans lost a heartbreaker on Monday. I can't tell. I watched the last play that Nick Chubb run a few times. I can't tell if the Bucs let him score or not. It seemed like they let him score because they knew they had Baker and that he would go down and score too. So I can't really tell if they did or not, because the Texans were obviously already in field goal range. So the Texans lost a heartbreaker on Monday night to the Bucks. The Jags lost an even more of a heartbreaker on Sunday to the Bengals when the Bengals lose Joe Burrow. Jake Browning comes in and throws 3 interceptions, and somehow the Jags still lose and don't cover that game. It was 3.5 for the Bengals in that one. But it's 2 teams and it's a divisional game that it's like, who the hell? I don't know what to think about either of these teams right now.
Yeah, I think the Texans defense is elite, right? And it was a weird game, that Monday night game for sure.
If you're an elite defense, though, don't you stop the Bucks on that?
Yeah, 100%, right? And they were talking about tacklings, but how poorly they tackled in that game, and they did. But man, there were some just weird anomalies in that game too. To your point about letting people score touchdowns. I mean, there was a play where one Texan, on that pass play, just completely ran by the guy that had the ball, and maybe he got juked out. I don't know, but having said that, the Texans obviously have to have this game, right? You can't go down 0-3. I think there've only been 3 teams since 0-2 that have made the playoffs after starting their season 0-3. And I think the Texans have a really good ball club, but they really have to figure out how to piecemeal this offensive line together and grow the offensive line together. And it's really tough to do. If that's where your problems start, it obviously is going to lead to almost everything else, right? I mean, it's hard to run the ball. It's hard to throw the ball. Then you're talking about field position. You're putting the other team in a very enviable spot when they get the ball. They've got to figure that like it's a carryover from all the problems they had last year.
Yeah, I mean, I was told that this was a Bobby Slowick problem. Like all offseason, they fired their offensive coordinator. They were like, yeah, it was really on him. He wasn't calling the right plays for CJ, and he wasn't calling the right plays on offense. They're 27th in total offense, 27th in pass yards, 20th in rush yards, last in points per game. And their offensive line, which they've spent so many resources redoing this offseason, is 26th ranked according to PFF. This is not a Bobby Slowick problem. This is a Texans problem. I feel like we were misled the entire offseason.
Well, that would be fair too through 2 games, right? So again, it's early. They are right there in these games. Both of their games were winnable. Unfortunately for them, they didn't win them, and now you're behind the 8 ball because I think there were 3 teams last year that made the playoffs after starting 0-2, but this is a big hole, early hole they have to climb out from under. The good news for them is it's a 17-game season, and it's a long one.
Yeah, but they also revamped their entire receiving core. Christian Kirk hasn't played yet. Jalen Noel and Jalen Higgins, they're not the only receiver that they throw to on offense is Nico Collins, for good reason.
Right.
Nico Collins is one of the best receivers in the entire league. But you have all these new weapons, and obviously Joe Mixon's hurt and Nick Chubb's taking over, but you have all these new weapons. It's like, what are you doing? What happened to the offense that from 2 years ago that we all know and loved and got him to the playoffs, and CJ Stroud was about to be the next great one, and now he looks like the next bust.
Yeah,
he looks lost.
I wouldn't put him in that category at all. I mean, I think when your offensive line isn't clicking and you're asking a young quarterback to take the next step or make the next leap, I mean, this is a guy that's guided his team to the playoffs 2 years in a row. He's won 2 playoff games, which is a lot more than a lot of other guys. I'm not ready to say he's a bust by any stretch of the imagination. I think he just needs some help. Like, you got to get some of these receivers healthy, and you got to figure some things out along the offensive line, and you got to run the ball.
Texans at Jags. Jags are favored by 1.5. Over-under's 44.5. So they're telling you they think the 0-2 Texans are better than the Jags by 1.5, or the Jags just don't have a 3-point home field advantage, which is also probably true. Who wins?
I think the Texans do. I mean, this is a must win. I like D'Amico's mindset, the way he galvanizes not only his defense, but the entire room in terms of being a grit guy. I think they're going to grit one out in this one.
I think this kind of reminds me of the Cowboys-Giants game where it's 2 teams that I just don't think are very good, and someone's got to win. I mean, so I'm going to go with the Jags just because I'm just going to go with the home team, but I just don't think it's 2 teams that are very good and don't have a lot going for them on either side of the ball, because Trevor Lawrence looks more lost than CJ Stroud does at most times.
He has fantastic hair, though.
He does have fantastic hair, and after he exits football with his $250 million contract, he'll still have fantastic hair. So, all right, let's get to college football here. Texas Tech and Utah, 16-17 matchup. I'm Big 12 Matty, so I put this on first. I love the Big 12, obviously, because Arizona State plays in the Big 12, and Texas Tech has, with their $40 million team and all the oil money that's come into that team, has just been killing people. 67-7 over Arkansas Pine Bluff, 62-14 over Kent State, 45-14 over Oregon State. Utah with Devin Dampier have been doing the exact same thing. The kid from New Mexico State got him in there instead of the 20 or would have been the 8th year starter in Utah, the guy who kept getting hurt over the last couple of seasons with Kyle Whittingham. And they are just two teams that are at the top of the Big 12 and clicking on all cylinders. I want to know if the Red Raiders are for real. I really do.
Well, remember when we did this podcast and you made me pick who was going to be in the playoffs? I believe I had Texas Tech in there.
You did.
So I don't want to jinx them
Good
now.
job by
But
you.
yeah,
I mean, 3 games in.
even a broken watch is right twice a day, right?
Except just not your phone
Right.
when you don't charge it.
That's fair too. Yeah. And obviously there's a long way to go, and they haven't really pounded anybody of consequence yet, but this will be a fascinating matchup this weekend because I think, everybody in Lubbock loves Joey McGuire, but everybody's thinking, we should be better. We should be this, we should be that. Certainly hope that whatever it is that they're doing, I'm sure the resources don't hurt, but he was already building something there, and you could tell. I mean, they're a possession away last year from playing in the Big 12 title game last year. So I don't think much of this is a huge surprise. Are they going to be one of those final 12 teams at the end of the season? That's to be determined, obviously, but you certainly have to like what you see so far.
This is the first time this season that we're going to get is Texas Tech for real? Is Utah for real? Utah's always been good. They were good in the Pac-12. They were good last year. I mean, they just didn't have the quarterback play to be really good last year. But this is one of those things like, okay, show us who you are. Let's see. Put your cards on the table. Let's see how good you are with Texas Tech. Let's see how good you are with Utah. So we're going to see that. We got another one of those in the Big 12 too. ASU travels to Waco to play Baylor. That's another, okay, let's see how good you guys are. Sawyer Robertson is getting all the praise after that win over SMU. Everyone's piling on top of Sam Leavitt at Arizona State because of that direct performance that he gave in against Mississippi State. Looked better against Texas State. So we're going to find out a lot about the Big 12 this week. I'm guessing you're taking Texas Tech.
What's the spread?
3.5.
Oh yeah,
for Utah.
Sure.
For Utah.
Yeah.
So you're taking Tech plus 3.5.
Yeah, 100%.
I would also take Texas Tech plus 3.5. I think that number tells you that they think that they're trying to get money. Actually, sorry, I would take Utah. I think that spread is telling you they're trying to get money on Texas Tech, and so I would take Utah minus the 3.5. It's kind of like that Monday night game. The Raiders were 3.5-point underdogs at home against the Chargers. They were like, please, somebody bet on the Raiders because the Chargers killed them.
And I have a feeling too, because the game is at Utah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not that far from Lubbock. I would imagine there's going to be some Tech fans in the
100%.
They make it feel like a home game.
They travel well. So, I'll take Utah in that game. Sam Houston traveling to Texas, take on the Longhorns, the last tune-up game for the Longhorns before they really get into the meat of their schedule. Texas is 39.5-point favorites. Over-under's 51.5. I mean, I gotta see some life from the Longhorns this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those games, and based on the spread last week that they didn't cover, I would just stay away from because every fiber in my being says they go out and they roll Sam Houston like a blunt. But jeepers creepers, that is a high point spread considering what Texas didn't do last week.
Yeah, I mean, they played UTEP last week. It was 36.5, and they not barely won. They had control of that game throughout, but 17, but to UTEP, like, come on. I know Scotty Waldron's doing better over there.
Yes, he is.
But man, UTEP is not should not be within 30 points of the Longhorns, especially with all the hype that the Longhorns have had. So I have to see Arch come out and throw like 5 touchdowns and actually look good and in control of the offense and not lost for me to have any faith in them, especially going into Red River, especially going into Florida, especially going into all these other games that they have on the schedule. I wouldn't even. I think Texas wins, obviously, but I would never touch that number. That number is crazy. Sam Houston is not good. Like, they lost to Hawaii on the island. They just are lost as a program over there. But
yeah, and that's
so does really Texas a little bit.
I haven't even been keeping up with them. I mean, because perennially, I mean, that's an FCS powerhouse.
Yeah,
those guys would always be really, really good. So
now at the FBS level, it's like, maybe you guys should have stayed FCS. UTSA now going to Colorado State. Colorado State is 4.5-point dogs at home. UTSA favored by 4.5. The last non-conference game before getting into or American play. I keep wanting to say AAC, but the American Conference here. Same kind of question. I mean, the Roadrunners, I think, had a little bit of a get-right game last week against UIW. They now are trying to get righter against CSU before they really get into the meat of their schedule. I think that the UTSA wins this game and wins it handily. CSU's not very good. They lost Torrey Horton last year, and their coach is really good. I love their coach, Norvell, but
Yeah.
I just think UTSA is starting to get a little bit more on offense and defense.
So, this is a conundrum here because Colorado State has not looked impressive even in their victories, but UTSA hasn't won a road game since 23. So
Fair.
that's that would give me concern, but I'm with you. I mean, because that spread has gone up.
Yeah.
It was lower, right? And then so it's at 4.5 now.
I can check.
Yeah, I would definitely take UTSA in this one. I mean, at some point they're going to win a road game. I know there was emphasis on that during the offseason. We'll see if all that energy that they put into trying to get one on the road, because they're too good of a program not to have won a road game last year, right? So it ain't going to happen 2 years in a row. It's got to be this one and win this one. Win it convincingly.
Yeah, I mean, and plus they really have to start getting right for the American. The American it's actually 5.5 now, so the spread is continuing to go up.
So somebody's giving us a point extra.
Yeah, somebody's
got to take UTSA.
Yeah, I would take UTSA by at least a touchdown. But all right, let's go to high school football. So high school football, week 4 of the high school football slate in Texas. This is kind of the calm before the storm when district play begins. But Brennan is still the top team in our TNL top 10 poll, which we'll go through first before we get to the actual TNL game or matchup. Brennan has a huge game this week. District play is beginning for that North Side district. They're playing Harlan, which is probably their most difficult game left on the schedule. Not to discount the rest of the district, but these are the top 2 teams in the district, and it's not that close. Harlan is number 6 in our TNL top 10 poll. Brennan is number 1. Saturday, Ferris Stadium. That is going to be a hell of a matchup, and the Bears have won 15 straight district games since losing to Harlan, I believe, on TNL 2 years ago.
It was a rally. That was a hell of a ball game. This is going to be a hell of a ball game too, man. Talk about starting off district play with a bang, right? I mean, man, sign me up for that one.
Yeah, I'm off Saturday, and ASU is playing at 6:30, or I would go to that game just on my off time. Like that's a really good matchup. Steele is number 2 in our TNL top 10. They played Brandeis. Brandeis was a little spunky in that game. It was 21-17 going into half, and then Steele just kind of took over from there. They play Austin Westlake this week, and historically, Steele is not great against the Austin teams. Last year, Westlake got him. Lake Travis got him the year before. The Knights are 16 in the AP Class 6A state rankings. Westlake's 13. I don't know what to think of Westlake so far. So I hope Steele wins, just because I think it's time that San Antonio gets one up on Austin at some point in football. And I really want to see it happen, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, to your point about what Steele was able to do against Brandeis is a really good team, right? And then they handled them in the second half. So, maybe this will be a case where they can wear out Westlake over time. You don't think anybody would be able to wear out Westlake, but I don't know, man. The way this Steel team has started this year, it kind of looks like statements every week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're going out and proving it. So, yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what flies.
Johnson moved up a spot. They're 3-0. They're 3 in the TNL top 10 poll. They beat McAllen Memorial 38-10 last week. They are perfect in their non-district run, now getting ready for district play. They have a bye this week. Harlan, we already talked about. They're number 4 in our TNL top 10 poll. They had a bye last week. They played Brennan this week. They've had 2 weeks to prepare, which is what they had last year. It was a close game last year, but they eventually ran out of gas. We'll see if Harlan and Coach Salas can keep up and do it this year. New Braunfels beat Del Rio 41-0 last week. They are number 5 in our TNL top 10 poll. They play MacArthur, so expect another win this week at Heroes Stadium. Smithson Valley is number 6 in our TNL top 10 poll. They beat Madison 42-10 last week. They play Bernie Champion this weekend. They're 3-0 against Bernie Champion all time. Number 7 is Alamo Heights. So we'll get to them here in a second. They are obviously 3-0. They beat Canyon last week 42-28. They play Clemens tonight on TNL. We'll talk about that in 1 second. They're averaging 55.4 points a game on offense. It helps when you score 70 week 1 against Seguin. Clark is number 8. They beat East Central in a really close back and forth game last week. They're 3-0 for the first time since 2009. So congratulations, Coach Geist over there. He's doing a great job.
Coach Ghost.
Yeah, they're on a bye this week. Southwest is number 9, and they're 3-0. John Jay is number 10, and they're 3-0. 2 guys that are on a collision course for TNL in week 9. That is going to be a hell of a game. That's probably going to decide that district. Both of those guys are 3-0, and they're the 2 best teams in that district, especially after John Jay beat South San on TNL 15-0 last week. So, all right, let's get to the TNL matchup. So Alamo Heights playing Clemens tonight, 7:00, Lenhoff Stadium. I was just telling you, I've never been to Lenhoff. I don't know why. I've just never been out that way. Maybe it's because I usually stay at Ferris and Gus because I have to anchor on Friday nights, or I get to anchor on Friday nights. But yeah, I've never made it out to Lenhoff.
Well, we can't say enough at TNL for the things that the Lenhoff family has done for the broadcast. I mean, when we were first starting this, we could get very few school districts to participate. And Coach Lenhoff back in the day was like, hey, you guys, whatever you need, we'll be there to help you do it. You know, SAISD was another one. You know, there's no TNL for 17 years if it not for people like Coach Lenhoff back in the day. So looking forward to being out there tonight. And, you know, I'm sure we'll be doing little salutes during the whole course of the game because of what he meant to all of us, still means to us.
Yeah, now that Alamo Heights and Coach Rittiman over there, he's done a great job of accepting us. I think last year was the first time we've done a game in Orem ever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's great going out to all these schools now, and I'm looking forward to going to Lenhoff tonight. As far as the matchup goes, Ron Rittiman, game since 2019. Like when you think of peak efficiency and peak programs in our area, Alamo Heights is just one of the top ones, and it's not even close. Like you can't have a conversation about best programs in our area without Alamo Heights being on that list.
Yeah, well said. I mean, they've blown out all 3 of their opponents to start the year. It's, you know, it doesn't matter who they lose. They lost a dude, obviously, last year to the University of Texas. But even when we did that game last year, right, that was not a one-man operation last year, right? They had dudes last year. And I know when we left the stadium last year, we were talking about who the best player might have been on the field was DK Garza, right?
He's the best player on every field now that they go on to, because he is one of the best players in our, probably the best running back in our area.
Wildly under-recruited.
Yeah.
Wildly under-recruited.
Let's hear from Coach Rittiman. We got a chance to catch up with him a little bit earlier this week.
3-0. This was, for lack of a better term, this was supposed to be kind of a figuring out, rebuilding type year. Doesn't show that way. What is working so well for the Alamo Heights Mules?
Well, I do think, you know, they've been hearing this since last December about losing that great senior class, and so we've had some guys that have really stepped up. I think we're ahead of the learning curve. I thought it would take us 3 or 4 games to kind of, you know, do certain things with execution and finding the right pieces to the puzzle and the team chemistry. But I think this group is a little bit ahead of the curve. We've played 3 good teams and have had 3 good results. We still have some work to do. We still have some things we can get better at, which makes it exciting because our potential is still, you know, I don't think we're close to where we're going to be down the road. So this would be a good week to put it all together and play a perfect game.
Is there anything that this team has shown you that's a little bit of a surprise this early in the season, whether it be leadership, offense, defense? Is there anything that kind of shocks coaches at this point?
I don't know about shock. You know, we have high expectations and high standards around here, and so we expect to play well in all 3 phases. But the truth is we have played well in all 3 phases. And that's why I'm saying we're probably a little bit ahead of the curve on that. I didn't know how long it would take, but our team chemistry seems to be gelling, doing good. Our player leadership seems to be making good strides. And so right now I'm happy with where we are, but I also can tell you that we can be a lot better.
Last year you guys were on TNL. This year, same rematch, back on TNL. What does that mean for the Heights community as a whole to be able to be showcased on television for all of South Texas to see?
Well, I mean, we're always excited and proud of our program and our community. And this is just the way that a lot of other people get to see how our kids behave on the field, how they play the game. We think we do it the right way. We try to play with high effort and high character every snap of the game. And for us to be able to put that on TV and let other people see that, I think it makes our community proud of the way our guys play football.
I think that first question from Jack, you guys are supposed to have a letdown year, and yet you're killing everybody. Because Michael Terry III left. And when you lose the best athlete in Texas and one of the best athletes in the entire country, you expect a little bit of a step back, and that senior class was huge. But I feel like a lot of times when you lose somebody like a Michael Terry, so much of your offense is centered around that player that you almost start getting more people involved. And DK came back as just like I think it looks like he gained 25 pounds, and he is just he's a true senior now, and has kind of taken that leadership role. But they're getting more people involved too. They're not just relying on one guy to be the wildcat quarterback / wide receiver / running back. They're relying on everybody to kind of play their own position.
Yeah, they've got dudes on both ends of the ball, right? I mean, you got tight ends that look good. They got a running back that looks good. Quarterback looks good. Last year, I believe, during the game that we had, their starting quarterback was injured, and they still look damn good in that game. So, I mean, hats off to what Ron Ritterman has built over there, sustained excellence.
As far as Clemens goes, last year was kind of a cluster for them.
Yeah.
When we got this game last year, Alan Hill was the interim head coach. He's the son of Larry Hill, obviously. He's now in the full-time role. But when we got this game last year, they lost like half their team to injury. There was one kid, I remember we told the story at during the broadcast, who got his foot run over the morning of the game and still was playing the game. Like, they were just a anything that can go wrong will go wrong kind of team last year. This year they've kind of stepped up and are heading in the right direction, but I mean, it couldn't have gotten much more down than they were at this time last year.
And remember, they were dealing with tragedy too. I mean, they had one player come home from school and he found his mom dead.
Yeah.
I mean, and having to deal and traverse your way through all that, I can't imagine a job being any harder than what Alan Hill had to deal with last year. But they've kind of figured it out now, getting back to football. I mean, they've looked really good their last 2 times out. And Coach Hill talked about earlier this week where they did a lot of stuff in the off season to build an ecosystem within their program, and they're having fun while they're doing it. And it's funny how much fun you can have, right? No pun intended, when you're winning ball games. And so I think there's a belief this Dupree receiver is elite.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to look really nice when he ends up at UTSA. They've got dudes as well. They've always had dudes. It's about, building a team, building a program, and Alan Hill's the right hill for the right hill for the job. So he's the right guy for the job. There's no question about it. And they've got some talented players as well. I think we're in for a shootout tonight, I believe.
Yeah, and Clemens leads the all-time series 13-9-1 over Alamo Heights. I wonder when that tie was. That's what I need to do some research. I see when they tied. It's going to be a really good matchup. I think you're right though. It's going to be a shootout. I'm expecting a game.
Of course, I thought we were going to have a shootout last week and we got 15 zips. So don't take my word.
Yeah, so don't listen to Chuck, is what he's saying.
Be hating on the defenses and they come out and stone everybody. Right?
Bob, anything before we get out of here?
I just wish we'd all say a little prayer for Joe Flacco if he survives this weekend.
Who they play this week?
Packers.
Oh, wow. Nice.
He survived last week.
Barely.
Somehow. I looked at that box score. I think if you only looked at the box scores through 2 weeks, Cleveland should be 2-0.
Well, I'd say they were chasing the scoreboard in that second half. So those numbers are – but week 1, they should have won that game.
I mean, it doesn't help when you basically turn the ball over like 3 times in your own side of the field.
It was rough. It was rough to watch.
And especially when Derrick Henry only
Twin
had
Peaks got me through it, though.
Huh?
Thank you to Twin Peaks for getting me through that game.
All right, that's all we got for you on you need to call them and get them as like a sponsor or something.
Yeah.
You shout them out enough.
At least give me some drinks.
All right, let's down review the podcast version. If you're so inclined, give us a 5-star rating. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. We'll be back on Monday. We'll review the entire weekend of college, pro, and TNL. So we'll be back then. See you then.